Got another bluegill swim bait video for you. Before I jump into this one, let me mention a comment on my last video. I had a video for the Mega Bass Battalion. It's a new bait that came out. Had a comment from Carl over at Keeping It Real Fishing. If you're not familiar with him, definitely check out his channel. It's a great fishing channel. But he wants me to check out the Matt Lures hard gill swim bait, and that will be the next one that I get. So next time I go to get a bluegill swim bait, I will check out the hard gill. Also, the U2 series looks pretty cool. They've got a couple of nice little bluegill swim baits, both hard baits and soft baits as well, that look really cool. I will be checking those out soon. But anyway, let's jump into this one. This is the Roman Made South. This is a bait that's been around for quite a while. They got kind of hard to find, and then I guess they made some more, got a new batch sent out or what. But I used to see these baits floating around from time to time, never had a chance to get one. So when they finally got in stock over at Tackle Warehouse, I decided, I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on one. Roman Made, if you're familiar with them, their baits carry a pretty hefty price tag. They are not cheap. But what they are is they're wooden, handmade swim baits from Japan, and they spend about 12 hours making each individual bait. So there's a lot of attention to detail, a lot of really cool stuff, and they just have this certain kind of allure to them. I don't know exactly what it is. There's just something about a Roman Made swim bait that's just cool. They're most well known for their giant one, the Roman Made Mother. I don't got any equipment to throw that one with. And really, I don't really have the equipment to throw some of the giant, just some of the other bigger baits, that you hear a lot about, like the Depths 250s and those. I'm sure I'll get to that stuff eventually, but I throw the bluegill baits and the shad baits a decent amount, enough to where it warrants me buying some of these things to actually fish, not just for like my collection or anything. But this bait here, it's 4.5 inches, and I believe it's 2.3 ounces. I'll have to look it up. It's on. I'll put it in the description below. 4.5 inches. I have it right here on the bottom of the box, but 115 millimeters, 65 grams. You can do the conversion if you want on that. But basically, it's not a giant swim bait, but it's a it's a chunky bait. You're not going to throw it on just any rod and reel combo, but you don't necessarily need like a big tree trunk rod. But this bait is it's kind of a subsurface kind of bait. You can kind of wake it, or you can kind of reel it, get it to go under the surface a little bit. It has this kind of noise that it will make, kind of like I think I mentioned it when I was talking about the Spro BBZ Rat, about a particular large kind of top water sort of swim bait. And sound is really important for baits like that, at least in my opinion. Baits like the MS Slammer, anything like that, a wooden bait or something similar to wood that's segmented, you need a nice sound and tone that can sound either like a bluegill popping on the surface, or just a fish doing something that's going to draw a strike. So that's important. Obviously, it has to, look legit, and these things do look. This is definitely, really cool paint scheme. This is Summer Gill, and this is definitely going to pass for a bluegill. I think it's the perfect size. Just got that nice, not the hugest bluegill, but it's not a small one either. It's just a good size, bluegill bait for a large bass to come up and try to eat. So very cool. Let you get a look at it here. The hooks are sharp. Only thing I would like is would be cool if there was a feather on the back one. That would be nice, but that's not really a deal breaker or anything. That's always something you can decide to do later if you really want. It's not that big a deal. But the hooks are sharp. They are quality hooks. Really just good looking bait. I only have one other. Oh look, you can see that. Look at that. It's sharp. It just grazed my skin, and got a hold of it pretty good. So Hooks are sharp. I've only got one other Roman-made bait. I have a Roman-made trick that has a lip on it, and that is a bait that I really like. I fished that one, and I have a Duo Realis Animasu. I use those kind of in similar situations, but for me personally, I don't throw these baits all the time. I get into a certain scenario where the fish are doing something or in a certain area, I will break a bait like this out. I do use the bluegill ones the most, though. I typically early morning, late evening, I'm back in the cove and I notice, the bluegill are out swimming around and I'm seeing some big bass busting them on the surface. That is the time for me to grab a larger bait that could be worked around, the surface like that. That's when I'll grab a bait like this. And I really like baits, kind of like the rat bait. Like I mentioned, the BBZ rat. It's probably been my most successful big bait, really. So I like stuff that's embarks some more topwater style of action versus more of just a glide bait or a swimming action. Also because my lake is really murky. But this is it's a really good bait. I think it's going to work well for that. Hopefully we'll have some videos of it on the water. There's a couple out there on YouTube. Hopefully I can get some big bass to hit this thing. I've got a braid tied to it now. I've got this is my, swim bait set up with my, what is that? My Guide Select Akuma rod with a Shimano Calcutta. Sometimes, for baits that glide or do more swimming, I'll use copolymer like P-Line, CXX. For baits that are just big, kind of more topwater waking, I use just really heavy braid. That way when that fish hits it, they're going to it's a little easier to kind of set the hook on that. You got to be careful when you're fighting it, though, not to rip the hooks out. And you also have to be careful casting. You don't want any sort of break-offs. That's why a lot of guys don't use braid. But I've kind of got a nice little cast that I do that's, I haven't had any major break-offs, catastrophic break-offs or anything. But if you do throw heavy braid with a swim bait, just keep that in mind. And it never hurts that the bait you're throwing floats, too. So if you do have a break-off, you're not going to lose your expensive lure. But that's pretty much it, guys. Roman-made South. Great-looking bait. If you're into that whole swim bait game or just cool lures from Japan and you're willing to spend an extra, a couple bucks because these aren't cheap, it's a cool one to check out. Stay tuned for some future videos. Like I said, my next swim bait video, I'm going to go ahead and take Carl's advice and check out some of the Matt Lures stuff. And we'll hope to have a few videos of those coming. I haven't ordered it yet, but I will be checking those out. So you guys take it easy and go catch some fish.